again. I think they get tired of it at some point. The Vulcans commanding them must be somewhere nearby.
From the past who ain't got the answer, I got the answer. Dance round bricks when it blow like a dancer. Gangsters, put in your crew, there's no chance. And I won't take yes for the answer. When shots fly, you be jumping like an Irish dancer. My name's Emo, so class A like Eno. Trouble maker like Reno. Yo, everything seems cloudy. Never been robbed in the game cause I'm rowdy. Carry on, I will take a hammer to your Audi. I'm like a soldier from Saudi, you're not quite rowdy. Wanna see deep chat how me. Stay sweet and you still ain't found me. The phone starts ringing when I drink through round. Where's lethal? We ain't in brown. Come nearer, standing outside the hobby you don't wear. Chocolate ting, cause I think one from a player. See him on the stage, yo, the crowd don't care ya. Ask if I care, fam, never been a carer. Want a Lamborghini, not a blue Alphamero. Money bearer, shotting shine glassy white in my ear. No one touch it, you feel like you got cane roll. I smoke weed, but I know about Kano. Couldn't help it, came back, it's like the same flow. I told you don't touch it, it will make your brain blow.
The last major thing I need is Secret Garden. I'm going to swap a purple reactor for a gold one with Secret Garden mounting, with skill cooldown and skill cost reduction, to go with Frugal Mindset that way too. So just to emphasize, I'm not knocking him, of course. It's just you can't really test this by playing on your own that often and taping it, like streaming it too, because you can't kick people in the game and you have to do it all public. But two of my teammates who are actually dying at this point just left for the last wave, but he stuck around. But just to emphasize, just to show the build again, you know, AoE effectiveness, that guy was doing next to nothing compared to me. Again, not knocking him. I'm just trying to make sure that you know that the build is still as good as you think it is. And I feel that guy just had a different build because he actually was not struggling either. He decided to stay near me at the very final wave, but up till that point he was actually drifting off, and he wasn't struggling to survive. So whatever build he was doing, it clearly was still a tank build that was still effective for him. However, it definitely wasn't any kind of damage dealing build, probably either for bossing or for ad clearing, because he was taking like 5 times longer than me to clear out the enemies. He was pretty much just solely relying on his gun and barriers, it looked like, which would be my body enhancement build that you see now, as I'll go through those builds too in this video. I just show everything I use now in Ajax. But yeah, I really like this Void Walker build I've made. I did another change since the last videos. I'm now using Frugal Mindset instead of Focus on Tech, because Focus on Tech skill power does not help your expulsion damage. I don't know why. It's dumb, because it says it's a tech skill. But when I tested in laboratory, and then I even tested it on an elite outside in the wild, like outside the laboratory, just did the same mission again and looked at the numbers. Yeah, on or off, it wasn't changing my expulsion damage at all. Now, it does help your leap damage, whatever it's called, just the frog leap, but still not that much, because skill power is way better than skill power modifier. So when I take it off, I'm effectively doing like 10% less damage from my leaps, which is also not my sole source of damage too. So, and the cooldown it gives me was not really needed, because thanks to having enough cooldown for my other modules and just Void Walker and how it works, I just don't need it. I can, as you see, I can pretty much spam. I will say it takes off a little bit of my noticeable melee cooldown, which is annoying, but I don't use my melee that often, but I still use it sometimes. That's why I use Shock Punch on this loadout, because it's the best for your melee. Always guarantees knockbacks and makes your melee do the most damage. And melee doesn't require mana, but if you're doing a low cooldown build, your melee also goes with the cooldown. If it worked on grappling, I would 100% use mid-air grappling still, just like my other loadouts. But it doesn't. I wish so much it worked on grappling, but it doesn't. So I decided to go Frugal Mindset because, as I said before, I just needed a sliver of more skill range to completely max out my AoE skills. My leap and then my expulsion when it's enhanced, when it gets the range buff and it's the same range as your leap too. They now have as much range as Bunny's maxed out lightning emission, minus high voltage. You can never do as much as high voltage, for range at least. But I actually have this, I even looked at my Bunny, it's like, yeah, it makes sense, because leap actually has about the same base AoE as Bunny's lightning emission, so it gets as much AoE coverage as lightning emission, which is why I've always felt like this is like a big contender for Bunny. Still not as good as and as efficient as farming as she is, but gets, as you see, very close, I'd say. And the difference is you're tankier and you still have strong barriers and you help your team. Speaking of which, this is the reason I do this kind of build, and I don't go like dangerous ambush or any of those, is because I'm still focused on making it as tanky as possible too. I don't need that damage. If I come across elites or really tough enemies or bosses, I just switch pretty much to barriers and guns, and that's fine, frankly. And the fact I'm tankier helps. I mean, yeah, it means I take a little longer than the other Ajaxes that might build it differently. But Ajax is still meant to be a tank and support still, and I like it keeping in that genre. And your AoE skills still do enough damage on this build, as you see, to one-shot all the basic enemies, and to still 2 or 3 shots all the harder enemies. It's just the super elites and the super buffed up enemies that you'll have to take time on, unfortunately. But still, I think it's worth it to remain as tanky as I am, to still have HP collector. And because of that, that makes your barriers still durable. So my barriers are still strong enough to like withstand a huge amount of punishment. And honestly, you can take, this Ajax isn't bad in Colossus fights either. You can take them all the way up to like hard mode Swamp Walker and still be fine. Both your durability and your barriers durability. Really, the only exceptions are just the hardest ones, like especially once you get to Gluttony. and Molten Fortress. Like those two, they'll really mess you up on this build for barriers and durability. But that's why you go to I just showed it, my body enhancement tank versions, switching out elemental resist mods and on my Descendant and my components.